Well, I'm a filmmaker, and a filmmaker watches all kinds of films. And I've been in the business for 20 years, right? And I've watched different sorts of cultural background and genre of films, action comedies, or whatever. And I watch plenty of samurai movies. In fact, I grew up watching these type of films. Of course, I watch all of the Kurosawa's movies, and there's another very important element, because I've been a martial artist for so many years that I have encountered and experienced Japanese style martial arts. So I have quite of understanding of samurai and how to apply that into my way of filmmaking. Of course, Shoryuki is another challenge, but there was no problem for me to incorporate the katana into a movie. Well, of course, there are various style of action, from modern action, which is keen on more realistic approach with the choreographies and the exaggeration of the movements, to some so-called, now it's the hottest thing in Hollywood, is so-called the wire work, which we've been using for many years in Hong Kong. And usually these wire works are applied to movies like older version of movies, traditional style sword movies, epics. In Shoryuki's in particular, I think that was a great advantage of the genre itself, because it's a modern film with swordplay, and yet the background is kind of cyber. So as a choreography, it was great for me, so I can kind of expand the limitation. But personally, I'm not a big wire work kind of choreographer. I like to stick with the true authentic of martial arts. So I only apply wire work to situations where they are necessary. Certain moments, if I need the movements to be a little bit dramatized, I use the wire to enhance the movement. But overall, I like to stick with the foundation of the martial art. So if you see Shoryuki throughout the whole film, you see a mixture of a little bit over-exaggerated movements to quite realistic movements. But overall, again, I like to stick with the fundamental elements of true martial art. Well, I think wire works only works on certain genre, like epics film. The so-called wire works, in Chinese novel, we call it wuxia. It's called martial art epics. The characters, they are dramatized and they are exaggerated. It goes back in hundreds of years. That's part of the Chinese culture. So therefore, in the way we incorporate these movements in a Chinese movies, we incorporate the kind of understanding of what these movements are about. It's basically, a character can go up the roof and walk on water. These are myths that are based on reading materials. So for years, we cannot break away from that understanding. However, I think in international understanding and culture, these so-called wire works were newly introduced by movies like Crouching Tiger and Hidden Dragon, and Matrix and Charlie Angels, and these films, and they were fascinated by it. But at the same time, their understanding is very, very different from the Chinese. A person would understand the so-called wire works. And for me, the wire works again, only works from if you certain backdrops and story setting, martial art films is martial art films. You cannot break away from the true realism of martial arts. Otherwise, you could have a dance choreographer to choreograph dance. Why do you need a great martial arts artist himself to choreograph martial arts? But with that said, still, of course, that martial artist needs to have extensive understanding and knowledge of filmmaking to put these two elements together, martial arts and filmmaking, and to make the greatest martial arts on screen. But personally, I like to stick with the martial art because I think it's more international, more global, and more people in the world can accept that. Every scene is challenging. I think it's different. As far as physical difficulty, obviously, is the ending, because that was our objective, is to bring the highlights visually and choreographies to a very exciting level. But I think in every scenes, I always trying to bring the key elements of that particular scene in Tsuruyuki throughout the whole many of the action sequences. We try to bring the best of Yumiko. Yumiko playing Tsuruyuki Hemi in that particular situations, being pressure or by the counter environments, her attackers, her lovers, at different stage of emotion. That was the biggest challenge for me, is to work with a new actress for the first time, and bringing her best in different moments. To me, that was more challenging than the movement, the choreographies, and the action direct itself. They are so different. Personally, I like to direct, because directing gives me a true meaning of being creative. You overlook the projects from script to casting to shooting and editing. You overlook the whole project. As an actor, I have been basically trying to bring out what the director wants you to. I like to do both. As an actor, I've been acting for many years, and there are a lot of great opportunities, and I don't want to take it for granted. And I want to do as many good films as an actor before I get too old. But as a director, that is something that I would like to continue to grow for the rest of my life. And I've spent many years in the film industry, and a lot of my knowledge and experience I like to share with both my fellow filmmakers or to general audiences. And making films is not something that everyone fortunate to have great opportunities, and I'm given this I'm blessed with this beautiful opportunities. I'd like to take advantage of it, and I don't want to say I like to make history, but definitely leave something behind. Well, another project, another mountain to climb, and I climbed it with the help of many of my assistants and workers and believers. Of course, one of my longest assistant, Kenji Tanigaki-san, he's been with me for many, many years, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank him for working behind me and believing me and following me for many, many years, and I hope that I can pass on some of my knowledge to him as well, because he's a very devoted filmmaker, and I believe that he will be probably one of the greatest action director in Japan, perhaps even furthermore internationally. So I like to continue to climb these mountains, and the higher the mountains, the better the mountains, and hopefully each mountains I can bring something new to the audience, something more entertaining, something worth audiences to go out and rent and spend their money to rent DVDs. I think is very important. And you have to be true to your work in order to have fans to be true to you. So I will continue to work hard. 頑張ります。